We've all seen it, right? That big, unavoidable bright red store closing sign. In 2025, that sign went up in 27 different Kohl's communities. And, well, it got a lot of people asking the same question. Is Kohl's about to be next on the chopping block? So today, let's unpack what's really happening as we head into 2026.
This is the big fear, isn't it? The one you see floating around online. Is this retail giant, a staple in so many towns, actually just going away? That's the question we're here to answer. And it all started with this one number, 27. That's how many Kohl's locations shut their doors for good in 2025. Now, compared to their total number of stores, it's not a huge percentage, but, it was definitely enough to make loyal customers a little nervous. So, you have to ask, were these closures a red flag just for Kohl's, a sign that something was deeply wrong, or is this part of a much bigger story that's playing out across the entire world of retail? Let's put it all in perspective.
See, the worry wasn't just about the number of stores. It was about the timing and the messaging. These closures were happening across 15 different states, right at a time when sales were already sliding. And the official reason? They called it a turnaround effort. That's the kind of corporate speak that, well, it rarely makes anyone feel better.
Okay, but to really get what's going on with Kohl's, we have to zoom out for a second. Because, believe it or not, closing stores these days isn't always a sign of a company going under. Sometimes, it's just a strategic play. And this quote from financial instructor Alex Bean, it nails it. It really all comes down to foot traffic. Today, if a store isn't getting people through the doors, companies just don't have the patience they used to. They'll pull the plug way, way faster than they would have, say, 20 years ago.
And here's another key piece of the puzzle from RJ Hodavi over at Placer.ai. It's about optimizing their store footprints. Think about it. People are moving. The neighborhoods that were booming shopping centers a decade ago might be totally different now. So retailers have to constantly adapt to where people are actually living and shopping.
All right, so that's the backstory. 2025 is a tough year, no doubt, with some strategic, but pretty worrying closures. But now, we get to pivot and look forward. What is the actual game plan for 2026? And this, right here, is where the story really takes the turn. The strategy that led to all those closures in 2025, that's not the strategy anymore. Kohl's is making a very clear, very deliberate change in how they're doing things. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. We've got it straight from the horse's mouth. The CEO's Kohl's, Michael Bender, came right out and said it. Don't expect any grand plan for more closures. The message could not be clearer. The big wave of cuts is over.
So, if they're not shrinking, then what are they doing? Well, the new plan can pretty much be summed up like this: stability over shrinking. It is all about focusing on the stores they already have. I mean, it's easy to forget, but even after closing those 27 locations, Kohl's still has a massive presence. We're talking over 1,100 stores still open for business across the entire country. Yeah, they are far, far from disappearing. And if you want to know why they're shifting gears, this chart pretty much tells you everything you need to know. The company says that over 90% of its stores are profitable. So, what they basically did was trim the fat. What's left behind is a really healthy core business. And here's the CEO again, just to really hammer the point home. He says the new focus is on optimizing what we already have and pushing for more productivity. In plain English, they want to take their good stores and make them even better. Okay, so the ship is steady. No more major closures are on the horizon. Awesome. But that doesn't mean the challenges are all gone. Let's talk about the financial realities, because there are still some hurdles to clear. This slide right here, this is the paradox that Kohl's is living in. It's a classic good news, bad news situation. On one side, all that financial housekeeping they did, it worked. Their profitability, their cash flow, it's all improved. But on the other side, overall sales are still heading in the wrong direction.
And these aren't just feelings. We've got the cold, hard numbers to back it up. I mean, it doesn't matter how you slice it. The last quarter of the full year, sales are down. This is the big headwind they're flying into, and it is a pretty significant one.
I think the CEO's own words sum it all up perfectly. He feels like they're ending the year on stronger footing, that the foundation of the company is more solid now, but he's also being realistic, admitting there is still important work still ahead.
And so that brings us here, to the final big question. Kohl's has made its play. They've streamlined, they've stabilized, and now they're focused on that profitable core. But in this new era of retail, with brutal online competition and customer habits that change in a heartbeat, is simply optimizing what you already have, is that enough to not just survive, but to actually thrive? That, right there, is the billion-dollar question for 2026 and beyond.